everybody, welcome to Popcorn Planet. I'm Andy Signor, and I'm here to review Judd Apatow's latest film, starring Saturday Night Live's Pete Davidson, and the film is called The King of Staten Island. Now, this film was supposed to open in theaters June 19th, but obviously with the state of the world, that wasn't possible. Universal decided instead to release this film on VOD, and now you can see all of the platforms that the film is available on starting June 12th. Probably a wise move by Universal here, because this film is not the uproarious, gut-busting Judd Apatow comedy you might hope it is. It's instead much more similar to his films This Is 40 or Funny People, which I was not a fan of. Those films took more of a serious approach to being a producer at 40 and a comedian, and this film takes a serious look at what Pete Davidson's real life could have been had he not become a comedian. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Pete Davidson, he's a regular on Saturday Night Live. Most people know him for dating Ariana Grande and others, which I think is unfair. He shouldn't be known for that, but that's what he's known for now. And he's now moved at home to live with his mom while he's doing his comedian stuff and whatnot. And this film is about his life. He wrote it along with Judd, and it was David Serious wrote the screenplay together, the three of them. And this film parallels Pete's actual life. Pete lost his father in 9/11. His father was a firefighter. In this film, Pete plays a boy named Scott who loses his father at 7, who's also a firefighter, and lives at home with his mom at 24 and smokes weed, all that jazz. So similar to Pete's real life story, but obviously skipping the comedian Saturday Night Live part of it. So it's important to sort of know Pete Davidson and your feelings on him before you watch this movie. If you are a Pete Davidson fan, I think you might like this film. If you are not, I suspect you might not. Where I stood on Pete Davidson was pretty smack in the middle. I was a fan of his work on Saturday Night Live. I liked him on Weekend Update when he played himself and did a sort of a correspondent segment he does. Usually he's always very self-depreciating about himself, wondering why he's not fired yet and why Lauren Michaels keeps him on the show. And I liked that about him, but I realize now it worked better in smaller doses. He's not a character actor. He doesn't play a bunch of people on the show. He plays versions of himself on Saturday Night Live. He's had some funny segments. I liked his recent music video during one of the at-home editions of Saturday Night Live with Adam Sandler, where they talk about how much it's being stressful to be with your family locked down. So overall, I liked him, but I clearly liked him in small doses. This film is very long. It's 2 hours and 17 minutes. Judd seems to have this thing of wanting to put it all out there. I wish it had been trimmed. This could have been a 90-minute movie easily, but it's not. It's a little long, so be prepared for that as well. But overall, it's not a very funny comedy, and it's not a very effective drama. It falls right back in the middle because Pete doesn't really take either side that seriously. There's some moments that are funny where he does try to be a comedian, but then a lot of other times he's just trying to be serious. And in both instances, I wasn't a fan because he never really committed to one way or the other. You're sort of watching the whole movie, not really committing either. And I just overall didn't love the film. It takes a long time to get going. There are some good supporting cast members in it, particularly Marissa Tomei, who is now becoming great at the young hot mom, single mom, the Aunt May, if you will. But she plays Pete Davidson's character's mom, and is now obviously lost her husband now for several years. And Pete's still at home. Her daughter goes off to college and is trying to live her life, but Pete's still stuck. And there's sort of a whole moment of Pete's like, yeah, well, you're lucky you never got to know Dad. Because I did, it's harder. And so there's a lot of these excuses that Pete's making using the death of his dad to sort of not excel in the world. And it's really hard to tell, is he actually really emotionally stunted because of it? I mean, clearly is a little bit. Or is he also just really using that as an excuse to be lazy? And that's where I have problems with sort of the character and then therefore the movie, because you're just watching him and his friends and these characters and you're just like, everyone in the movie is telling them to get their lives in order. And you're agreeing. You're like, yeah, get your lives in order, man. Or be funny or entertaining or move me at least then. And it just didn't do any of those things to me. It just meanders through and sort of a, fine movie. It's very fine. But I couldn't get connected to him because I found him sort of annoying. And in order to sort of to finally win you as an audience member or me at the end, I was waiting for that really emotional wallop of him realizing the loss and everything. And they touch upon it, but you're not going to get that scene either. So be prepared. It's much more subtle and it's sort of how to deal with things. The film does, though, pick up. I will give it credit. The film does pick up when Marissa Tomei's character meets Bill Burr, who shows up in the film and absolutely saves the film and absolutely makes, I think, a much better movie. Bill Burr, I'm going to say what happens. There's a sort of funny scene where how we meet Bill Burr, but Bill Burr's character decides to start dating Scott's mom. And that movie was far more interesting to me. I would have much rather watched the Bill Burr movie, the Marissa Tomei movie, with Pete Davidson as a supporting character of the son who doesn't move out. That to me would have been a far more interesting movie to follow this firefighter and his struggle and trying to get back out there, and Marissa Tomei trying to struggle. It really would have then worked as a more serious but still funny, cutesy version of Step Brothers, which this movie really is. This movie is very similar to Step Brothers in that there's these annoying old people who just won't move out. But the excuse being his dad died. And so, yeah, I'm not even trying to seem mean like it's his excuse, because clearly Pete's, deals with himself, but there's a little bit of just like, all right, you gotta move forward. Like, it's been 20 years. We gotta, even his mom's trying to move on and wants you out. Like, you got to step up at a certain point and be a grown up. It's without the heart or the serious comedy, that Step Brothers has. To me, it just becomes this really weird, annoying version. It's funny. I didn't like Step Brothers when I first saw it because I thought the characters were just so unlikable, and I was just like, oh, it's just so hard to watch. The similar sort of hot take I had on like the show Arrested Development. I watched a lot of it. I like those actors, but I could never fully get into it because I thought, every one of those characters on Arrested Development is so unlikable. I couldn't get him on board. It's like The Office. Like, eventually Michael Scott, Steve Carell, they finally give him more depth. You realize he's not just a complete idiot. He's got some heart. He's got a brain. And when they let him shine in that regard, the show became that much more touching and I think better for it. And so when you give your character more depth, it's better. And so Step Brothers, I never saw. It was just like a bunch of, man children screaming at their parents. But I watched it again more recently, and I've loved it. I love it now. It's one of my favorites. It's so funny. And watching the sort of the one-upsmanship of Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly and Adam Scott, I get it now, and I apologize for not understanding that sooner. Adam McKay and crew. Very funny movie. But I don't get the same vibe here. I don't think I'll regret it later. This is not going for laughs in that type of way at all. This is going for seriousness. It's going for a real guy, Pete Davidson, clearly, who's sort of stuck in life and not sure what to do. And I don't want to sit here and belittle that. I'm sure this is real stuff, but as Judd Apatow comedies go and sort of everything else, like I couldn't connect. I wasn't emotionally taken on a journey. I didn't laugh. I wasn't touched. It just fell flat for me on all of those points. So sadly, that's where it was. But Bill Burr, I liked him a lot. Kudos Bill Burr. Kudos Marissa Tomei. Again, that movie would have been far better. But sadly, it's not the Bill Burr movie. He's only a supporting role. It is the Pete Davidson movie, and you're either on board or not about Pete's journey to sort of come to terms with the loss of his father and becoming a grown-up. And that's really where the movie focuses its energy. It's 2 hours and 17 minutes. The film also has a supporting turn from Steve Buscemi, who I liked. He plays a fellow firefighter. Again, I liked the Bill Burr and all the characters around Bill and the firefighters, much more intriguing to me. But again, not. Second half of the movie becomes a little bit more about that. At least the third act becomes more about that. And I think had they just trimmed a lot of that beginning and brought Bill in sooner and focused on the sort of the two of them more or sooner, probably would have enjoyed it more. But it's a very slow buildup of Pete's sort of life, and you're just like, oh my god, dude, all right, enough. And it's not funny enough or serious enough. I think you guys get the idea. I don't want to keep repeating myself. The film also stars Judd Apatow as his sister, Judd Apatow's eldest daughter, who plays a role in the film as well. It's there are parts I liked. I'll be honest. Pamela Alden from LIVEI on FX plays Bill Burr's ex-wife. There's a funny scene, some funny, interesting moments with her. Overall, like, I don't like that I'm just hating on this film, but at the same time, I didn't connect to it personally. I wanted to. I don't dislike Pete. I don't dislike Judd Apatow's films, but I don't always love Judd Apatow as a serious director. I've seen him just he likes to be more political now and his stuff, and wants to be more serious and do more stuff. But Judd Apatow always shined the best in my eyes when he was really making really good comedies. That is such a hard thing to do. And I've had this debate. Comedy to me is so much harder to do well than drama. And I feel like this shows it because he's doing a drama. Okay, good on you guys. You did a drama. But a really effective drama. Still, it needs to be more. The comedy, which he was so good at, he's sort of shies away from now, and I don't understand why. I would have much preferred to see a big comedy from him starring Pete Davidson than this one, to be honest. It just didn't hit me the same way. No ill will towards these people or Pete Davidson, but that's my opinion of this film. Overall, it's a miss for me. Curious to see what you guys will think. I would wait till it's on another streaming service. I'm sure that's not what the studios want to hear, but I do not think this is worth buying for $20. A rental cost, sure. Rental cost or waiting for it to be on another streaming service that is part of a library, I think is where you want to watch this film. This is not one you need to rush to or pay a big premium price for to see. It's a very mediocre indie comedy dramedy at its best. That's my thoughts. What do you guys think? Are you guys excited to see this film? Are you going to give it a shot? Do you think I'm being harsh? Give me all your thoughts down below in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to watch more as it comes here by subscribing here to Popcorn Planet. Thanks, everybody.